You're not lost, you're simply undiscovered. Much like Michelangelo when he created the statue of David. He knew that David was always in the statue. All he did was simply remove everything that was not David.
Love Luna.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Self-Love Lessons with Luna. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful journey. If you're listening in on the podcast, hello, it is absolutely a thrill to have you here. And for those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, follow along, and then you'll get access to every single piece of my content along the way. Oftentimes when I work with people, they tell me that they feel a bit lost. They don't really know who they are. It's a really strong symptom of low self-esteem. When we don't really know who we are, how is it possible to value ourselves? How is it possible to like ourselves? The short answer is, it's impossible. How can it possibly like somebody that you've never even met, that you don't know very well? Like I said in the beginning, it's a James Morrison quote, "I'm not lost, just undiscovered." That's the thing. We're not necessarily floating out in some kind of ether, not really being able to find ourselves. What we're doing is discovering, unraveling, taking off all the layers of the things that you are not so the truth of you can be revealed. This is what I do with my clients all the time, both one-on-one and in the group container settings that I offer as well. But you can do it for yourself. You can start unraveling all the layers and start seeing yourself as that masterpiece, you being the artist and simply chipping away of all the things that you're not. We can almost have a look at ourselves as that stone that has the true self contained within it. But outside of us is all the shoulds. We have this certain way of being. Our parents tell us a certain way of being. Even if we're an adult now, very often the way in which our parents think that we should be is how it still kind of permeates into our everyday life. It's our parents, it's our partners, it's our kids, it's our family, it's our friends, it's the society at large. There are all these shoulds about how we're meant to be, rather than how we feel as though we want to be within inside of us. We're told who we should be, how we should think, how we should act, particularly as women, how we should look, how we shouldn't look. Are we meant to age? Are we meant to wear bras? Are we not allowed to wear bras? Are we should this, should that, should this? It gets overwhelming, all the shoulds that we have in our life. It's not just what we should do, but it's what we should think, and how we should be, and how we should act. The shoulds are there on so many different levels. But when we invest in the shoulds, what we're really doing is investing in what other people believe. We are only paying attention to the way in which other people believe that we should be. No wonder we feel undiscovered. No wonder we feel lost. How can we possibly know who we are if all we're doing is paying attention to what everybody else tells us that we should be? Believing in the shoulds and paying attention to the shoulds leads us to losing who we are. Maybe not even ever discovering who we are. Typically from a very young age we've been given these shoulds. And if you have been raised with perhaps low self-esteem, perhaps your guardians or your parents didn't really know how to hand over self-love and self-worth. Because we can only teach what we know. If they themselves did not know and they were just going along with the shoulds because their parents told them that they should get married, they should have kids, they should go into the family business, then all they can do is pass that on to you. We can only teach what we know. And if our parents only knew shoulds, then that is the only thing that we will be taught. What ends up happening is when we follow the shoulds, we just become a version of ourselves that doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel genuine. We just crave to feel that connection to ourselves. But we don't even know what that feels like. But we know it's there. It kind of whispers. It speaks to us, it's slow, it bubbles. Sometimes it yells at us, pay attention to me. And yet we still invest in the shoulds. Michelangelo and his David are quite famous, and he has been quoted to say that every block of stone has a statue within it, and it is up to the sculptor to discover it. You are a block of stone. When we use this analogy, if you are a block of stone waiting to be discovered by the sculptor, doesn't it really relate to how we feel when we feel stuck? If you're in a block of stone, doesn't it feel like your heart is closed? Doesn't it feel like your barriers are up? Yeah. When you're not being the truth of you in your beauty and in your statue, you feel stuck. You feel hidden. You feel armored. The thing that we need to come to realize is that we ourselves are the sculptor. You are both the stone and the artist, the masterpiece and the creator. You get to carve away all the things that are not you so you can be revealed in your true grace, your true beauty, your true divinity of light and love and passion and existence. You might be a fiery person, but you don't allow yourself to do that because you should be polite. You might be introverted, but you feel like you should smile and nod and make the small talk. That's how I was for a really long time. I thought that I had to be the life of the party. I had to be extroverted and I had to go out there and engage and do all this sort of stuff. When I started to peel back the layers, carve the stone to create myself, to discover who I was on the inside, I really came to realize that I'm quite the introvert. I like to read. I like small groups. I don't much like small talk. I like to engage in deep, meaningful conversations with topics that matter. That's really important to me. But if I continue to believe in the shoulds of the world, then I would just smile and nod and be a good little girl and just play the game. But it's not being authentic to me. It's not being the true version of me, and when I do that, I feel stuck, I feel limited, I feel guarded, and I don't feel great about myself. When I'm stuck in that stone of the shoulds, when we're stuck in the stone of the shoulds, our self-esteem absolutely plummets. But when we're being true to ourselves, when we can be revealed within the stone, we feel free. We feel free and our self-esteem starts going up and we feel better about ourselves. And isn't that the whole point? We want to feel in love with ourselves, juiced about life. If we can't live while we're alive, then I think that we're missing the point. You deserve to be out of the stone. You deserve to be uncovered. You deserve to discover yourself and craft the being in which you are in your truth and in your essence. You don't need to fix all the things that are wrong with you. You don't need to change a whole bunch of the part of you. All that you need to do is remove the parts that aren't you. Remove the things that are in your way from being your truest, most authentic self. When you do that, you come to a space of peace and happiness and freedom. It's not without its problems. Don't get me wrong. Life is life. It doesn't mean that when you feel in love with yourself and you're being your authentic self, that every single moment of every day is just a blissful bubble. No, it doesn't work that way. Self-love and coming into yourself is more about you being able to feel aligned on a more regular basis. And with feeling that alignment, when problems come up, where life gets in the way, you're able to be more fortified within yourself to stay true to your being. I want this for you. So I've got 5 quick tips to be able to help you to begin on this journey. Tip number 1, you've got to start spending time alone. If you've watched any of my other videos, any of my self-love lessons with Luna, paid attention to the podcast at all, I'm a huge advocate that you need to get to know you. You need to pay attention to yourself and your being. And it's very difficult to do that when you're constantly distracted by other people and constantly distracted by the outside world. Spend time with you. Get to know your quirks. Get to know your differences. Oh, do I like that? Do I not like that? Pay attention and spend more time with you. This allows you to tune into the frequency of the radio that is you. If you are a big radio channel, if you spend time with people all the time and you're listening to all their shoulds, it's like you've got distorted radio. You're trying to listen to 45 different radio stations at the same time, and it just becomes noisy in your head. So spending time alone allows you to tune the dial, tune the radio dial that's within your heart, and allow yourself to listen. Tune in to you radio. I tune into lunar radio. See what's going on in my frequency. Do that. For step number 2, I want you to ask questions. You know, when you're about to go do something, if you're having dinner with somebody, if you are making decisions about your life, ask yourself, am I doing this because I think that I should? Or am I doing this because it's true for me? Start paying attention to that. Start asking yourself the question and feeling the dance between the pull of the shoulds and the push of the way in which you want to be. That's going to make a really big difference. You don't necessarily have to act on it straight away because really you may not know 100% for yourself whether or not it's a should or whether or not you want to. I remember years and years ago, I was shaving my armpits and this thought occurred to me. Why do I do this? I've been doing it since I was, 11. Why do I do this every 3 days? I had never even thought about it. I was doing it because I was told to, that I should shave my armpits. But I didn't know whether or not that was true for me. Do I want to shave my armpits? So for a little while I stopped. And I looked. And I saw and I felt what it was like to not shave my armpits, to not feel that red rawness, to not feel the itchiness. Now in my lifetime, sometimes I feel like shaving my armpits, sometimes I don't. But I know that it comes from me because I took myself out of the shoulds and had a look at, well, is that something that I even want to do? Do I care about it? Is it valuable to me? Or is it just something that I've been told that I should do? So ask yourself the question. When we start to sort of discover ourselves, even when we're older, I know I appreciate that when we're younger, we might go through different phases and it's kind of socially acceptable to try on new personalities or new opinions when we're younger. But as we get older, it's like we're set in stone that we shouldn't be changing who we are and what we dress as and reinventing ourselves. And I think it gets in the way. Very much so. Try on new ideas. Try on new opinions. Have you always wanted to be a vegan? Give it a go. Try it on and see what fits you. If you can imagine it like some kind of clothing, putting on different parts of clothing, you're not trying things on because people tell you that you should. You're trying things on to see how it fits in your being. Because if you haven't known yourself too well, it's likely that you're just wearing other people's clothes. So try on other people's clothes, but see what feels good on your body. Because there are going to be things that people do and think and say that you agree with, that you like, that you would enjoy adopting. So don't be afraid to try new things. Have the courage to kind of go out there and try on different opinions and maybe different personalities and see what works for you. See what fits and what feels really congruent. Kind of like those puzzles as a kid, the triangle fits in the triangle, the circle fits in the circle, the square fits in the square. If you're a square and you've been trying to shove the circle into it, it's never going to fit. Maybe try on some different shapes and see what works for you. With tip number 4, I really want you to look to those that you admire. Yes, I want you to come back into you, but this is how you do it. Look to those people that you admire. I have a dear person in my life and they are opinionated, but they're also non-judgmental. They're also compassionate. They're also kind. They're a wide open thinker, but they have no qualms in saying what they think and what they feel. And I really admire that quality in that person, so I model that. It fits well with me. So try it on. Who do you admire? What are the qualities and characteristics that you admire in them? You probably admire in them because you see it within yourself and you see potential that that's something that you'd like to be aligned with. It's giving you clues. Tip number 5. There's no rush. Chill. Relax. Again, if you watch any of my other content, you will know that I am a huge advocate of patience. This takes time. You are a masterpiece. Michelangelo's David was not created overnight. He crafted that. He spent hours and days and months and years crafting it. So continue to craft you. You are a masterpiece. Allow yourself to be that. I really hope that these 5 tips and this self-love lesson with Luna is really super valuable for you. It's important that this content is relevant to you. If it makes sense, if it sparks something in you, if you're learning something, please let me know. You can shoot me an email at loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au, DM me on whatever platform that we hang out, or really simple, just leave a comment. If you leave a comment, then I'm going to get back to you straight away, as I will on all the other platforms, but we can share the love amongst ourselves. I know that it's possible to do this on your own, but I also know that it's tough. And I also know that perhaps reaching out and doing one-on-one work feels like it can be further away. For some of you, one-on-one work is exactly where you need to be. And if it is, get in touch with me. But I also know that for others of you, it's not quite that simple. Perhaps there's some financial barriers. Perhaps there's some intimidation barriers. Well, oh gosh, I don't want to have to be one-on-one with Luna. That feels really intense. I get it. So I really wanted to create some kind of middle ground. And I'm looking for you. You're stuck. You're in the stone. You feel like you want some help, but you don't necessarily want to go all the way to one-on-one because there's certain barriers that are in the way for you. I'm looking for you because you've done work. You've explored self-love. You kind of know some of the patterns that are in your way, but not necessarily. And you're looking for a group to support you. You're looking for a container where you can be held by a guide who has walked all the paths that you're attempting to walk right now. Who can show you the way. Who can be that loving, supportive environment to help educate you in these specific areas of self-love, but also give you the opportunity to speak and to be heard and to witness other people in the group. This is what I have created just for you. It's a container. 8 weeks at a time, 12 beautiful women only. Small group work. Every week we will connect for a discourse online, and then we'll have group coaching sessions, and you will have a turn at least twice in that 8-week period where you get some one-on-one work with me. And then you can witness other people having one-on-one work with me. And the lessons and the downloads that you will get from that supportive environment will help heal this for you in ways that perhaps you could have never imagined. I'm looking for you. Applications will be opening very, very soon. So if you are interested, please do let me know. Comment, loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au, DM me, all that jazz. You know where to find me. It's time. It's never too late to come home to your soul, and it's time that you return to the wholeness that you know that you can be, to be revealed from the stone. This is my wish for you. In the meantime, happy self-loving.